Hello everyone, in this video we're going to discuss about Teun Van Dijk's theory and critical discourse analysis. So Teun Van Dijk is a scholar from Netherlands, and in this first part we're going to talk about his theory and social analysis in his CDAs. So social analysis in Van Dijk's CDAs focuses on how language is connected to power relations, social structures, and ideologies. It examines the macro-level structures of power, dominations, and inequality, and explores how discourse justifies social hierarchies, discriminations, and ideologies. So, for the first one, we're going to talk about power and dominations. Powerful groups like politicians, media, corporations often control discourse to shape public perceptions and justify their authority. Certain groups are granted greater visibility and positive representations, while others are marginalized or portrayed negatively. So they decide what information is shared and how it presented. For the example, like a government may label a protest as a threat to national security rather than a peaceful demonstrations to legitimize restrictive measures. Second one is ideologies in discourse. Ideologies are belief systems that shape how people understand the world, and they are often reflected in language. Media, education, and political discourse help spread these ideologies, making certain views seem natural or unquestionable. For the example, new outlets may call one groups freedom fighters and another terrorists. So, in terms for shaping public's opinions about the conflict. The third one is about hegemony and legitimizations. Hegemony occurs when dominant ideas become accepted as common sense, making power structures seem natural and unquestioned. Institutions like schools, governments, and the media reinforce these ideas by repeating them in discourse. Example, advertising often promotes the idea that success means having expensive things, making people believe that wealth equals happiness. And the fourth one is resistance and counter-discourse. While dominant discourse maintaining existing power structures, alternative discourse challenge these norms by offering different perspectives. Social movement, independent media, and activist groups use counter-discourse to question dominant ideologies and promote social change. Example, feminist movement use digital platforms to challenge traditional gender role and advocate for equality.
Alright, now we're going to discuss about the second approach of CDA by Van Dijk. So we're going to talk about textual analysis that focus on how texts are used to reproduce, legitimate, or challenge social inequalities and power structure in society. So Van Dijk emphasized that text analysis must be conducted within its social and political context, rather than being treated as an isolated linguistic structure. And also his approach connects the micro level and macro level. And the micro level, there are vocabulary, syntax, and also language style, with the macro level that conducted of power, ideology, and social dominations. So in his approach is not only descriptive analysis but also critical in uncovering hidden power relations within the discourse itself. Alright, now let's discuss further about the micro level. We have vocabulary or lexical analysis. So, for example, like there are some certain news that using radical feminists rather than using feminist activists. So the word of radical can give negative connotations and influence readers' perceptions of the feminist movement itself as a negative things. And the second, we have language style. For example, they are using new wave or undercurrent. So this choice of language style can shape the image positive and progressive or conversely as a hidden threat. And last we have style or language style. So women demand equal rights with demands for equal rights by women. The first sentence places women as active subject, while the second sentence we can see that it obscure agency and focus on the demands themselves, which may reduce the sense of urgency or the legitimacy itself.
So next, I will explain about social cognition in Van Dijk's critical discourse analysis. So, social cognition it refers to how the people thoughts, beliefs, and mental models influence the way they produce and understand discourse. It explains how language, power, and ideology are connected in shaping social perceptions. So, social cognition refers to mental models process that with individuals to make sense of themselves and others within a social context. It encompasses how people categorize, attribute, and remember social informations and interpretations. People interpret text based on personal experiences and societal norms. These are cognitive representations that individuals hold about social events, people, and situations. They are shaped by personal experiences and social interactions. In mental models, there is episodic memory. It is personal experiences stored in memory that inform how individuals interpret new information. The second one is a shared knowledge and stereotypes. Society creates common knowledge that influence perceptions. In this shared knowledge and stereotypes, there is a semantic or social memory. It is shared knowledge and ideologies that influence how individuals understand social concepts and events. For example, women are often portrayed as caregivers in media. And the example for mental models is a feminist and a traditionalist may view the same news article differently. The third one is ideology and power structures. Powerful groups control narratives through discourse. Van Dijk posits that ideologies are structured mental models that guide social behavior and influence how individuals interpret discourse. They are often acquired and reproduced through social practice, including discourse. For example, calling a protest violent instead of peaceful resistance. The last one is media as a tool for social cognitions. News, TV, and social media reinforce certain ideologies. For example, media framing feminists as angry shapes public opinion. So, social cognition serves both cognitive, about how we think, and social, how we interact functions. It helps individuals navigate their social world and understand their place within it.
Okay, now analytical frameworks by Van Dijk is a critical discourse analysis is a framework that explores how language and discourse are used to construct and maintaining social power, dominance, and equality. Van Dijk argued that discourse is not a reflection of the social reality, but it also a tool for shaping it. His work is focused on how discourse perpetuate racism, sexism, and other forms of the social injustice. He views discourse as a social practice embedded in a power relation where the production, distribution, and consumption of the text influenced by societal norms and ideologies. That there's a perspective implies that language is never natural, but is always tied to broader social and political context. Van Dijk is analytical frameworks connect three levels of discourse analysis to uncover hidden power structure in language. The framework first is a macro level that we know. A macro level is a social context. The social context examines power relation, dominant, and social structure. Focus on how institution, government, media shape a discourse. Number two is the meso level
or we can say this social cognition. For example, that connect text and the society by studying how people interact and discourse. Next is analysis mental models, shared belief and ideology within a group. And the last one is a micro level. It's a textual features. The textual feature is a focus also in linguistic structure, like a vocabulary, syntax, and metaphors. Analyze how language choices influence meaning and power dynamic.
Next is journal example. The first journal titled A Van Dijk's Discourse Analysis of Palestine versus Israel coverage on NBC News and Liputan 6 by Tuti Widyastuti. Van Dijk's critical discourse analysis theory was applied to analyze audience comment on the Liputan 6 from Indonesia and NBC News from America about the Palestine-Israel conflict. In the textual analysis, the researcher focused on the word, themes, and sentiments that emerged in the comments. For example, comment on NBC News tended to be negative toward Hamas, while comment on Liputan 6 support Palestine. In the social cognition, the researcher explored how audience process information and their experience to form opinions. NBC News audience tended to have negative perception of Hamas due to the influence of the media depicting Hamas as terrorists, while Liputan 6 audience support Palestine due to religious ties and Pancasila values. In the social context, the researcher analyzed the political, cultural, and religious situation that influence news coverage and audience response. For example, Indonesia as a Muslim majority country tends to support Palestine, while the United States as an ally of Israel tends to support Israel.
Okay, in this slide, I will explain the second journal example titled Critical Discourse Analysis of Teun Van Dijk Model Against Online News. The decline in refinery profit threatened to increase oil prices. So, this journal explored the application of CDA to online news from CNBC Arabia about declining oil refinery profits. This research revealed that the news used language strategies to build readers' opinions, such as highlighting OPEC's role in rising oil prices. And this journal also used social cognition to shape readers' opinions to presenting data showing a decline in oil refinery profits margin of over 50%. And the decline in oil refinery profits can impact people's social life. And the study also highlights the media's role in shaping public awareness of global economic issues. So maybe that's all from my explanation. Hope you can understand, and thank you.